Live from the Drew Estate Cigar Studios in the great state of New Hampshire, the Gurkha Cigar Studios in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, and from beautiful Indian Trail, North Carolina. Welcome to the Spare Notes series with your hosts, Matt Tabacco, Kevin Acuff, and William Cooper.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is another Saturday night. It is time for the Spare Notes series. Kevin Acuff is not with us tonight, unfortunately. He is he's doing his thing out there in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I am still here with William Cooper, as always. William.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Good
Well,
to see you.
Good to see you as well.
We have some athletic business to attend to. There's a World Series happening right now, which for you and I is a big, even though our teams are not in it, it's still a big deal because I think I can speak for you on this when I say this, but you and I are true baseball fans. We're not just like, when my team's out, fuck everybody else, I'm done, good luck. No, we love the game. We love the game. So we still watch. I was up till almost midnight last night watching, and then I saw Freddie Freeman hit that grand slam walk-off, and I was like, you know what? I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm like, you know what? Good for him, dude. That's a dream come true.
Yeah, it was, and I Aaron Boone. When you intentionally walk someone, you're like intentionally trying to lose sometimes, and I don't think you should intentionally. I think that was the wrong move to make. I'm sorry.
I agree. I don't know what that was like. Yeah, why? I mean, why? I mean,
they were Yankees were competitive in this series, but you just. I know I know the logic that Freeman hasn't been playing great in the playoffs. I get it, but he's still Freddie Freeman. This guy has a ring. He knows what to do here. So, I thought it was the wrong move. Ultimately, who knows if he would have hit the home run no matter what. But I am not a fan of intentionally walking guys in this situation here with game one of a World Championship Series.
Yeah, that was definitely not the time to do it.
No,
I don't. I'll be honest with you. I kind of was not fully paying attention at the time when it first happened, because I was kind of multitasking. I mean, I had the game, so I was in my office last night. I wasn't down in my smoking room, and so I had like the TV on, which I have a TV above my desk with my monitors and stuff. So I was like on the computer doing stuff, and I had the TV on. So I'm like, I'm listening, but like I'm doing something. And then I heard like the walk, and I looked up, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, okay, the bases are loaded. I'm like, wait, what happened? And then I was like, he walked him. He just did the intentional. Yeah. And I like was trying to get my bearings straight. And while I'm like, oh, okay, Freddie Freeman walks up, and then and I'm just like, wait, so he walked him, and I'm like, wait, who else is on base? Who else is? What's the count? And I'm like trying to figure this all out because I wasn't all the way in. And just as I'm like, oh, I see what he did there, and then boom, there it was, and I was just like sitting there. And I'm like, oh yeah, and it all kind of came together, and I'm like, oh, what a fucking stupid move.
Yeah.
I mean, go for it, man. I mean, what are you gonna put another guy on? I mean, I guess the logic here, he must have been like, look, they hit a home run, it's a 3-run, they win anyway. So why not try? I get the logic,
right, but it could change the whole dynamic of what Freeman was gonna do at the plate. That was my point. So
yes.
Yeah, you don't know. I agree. I just thought it was. I'm not saying it cost them the game, but it was the wrong move, in my opinion.
I agree. Wait,
Yeah.
I'm doing a show right now. You really want to be here? I know. I got the dog with me down here. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and that's why it's a World Series, man. People make decisions. It's like the Super Bowl. How many times in a Super Bowl in the 2-minute warning we've seen some crazy shit. People just like, all right, we're gonna make a move here. And that's what makes championship games so great. I think is those moves, because it's like regular season game. That probably win a very different situation.
Yeah.
ALCS probably pretty close, but World Series, it's like you either go for it or you go home. So
yeah, I mean, the other complaint is these managers, they 90 pitches, these guys are out, and this is the final round. I don't know why you're getting all wound up about pitch counts in game one. I mean, it's
game one, yeah.
It's game one. It's and they so I think another mistake was pulling Cole, who was pitching very good for them last night. The Yankees. That was a bigger mistake, I thought.
I agree. He pitched so good. I was like, wow, if he keeps this up,
he's
Yankees
pitching
are
like
gonna-
an ace. He pitched like an ace should pitch. He did his job last night. Yeah.
he did.
Yeah,
He earned his keep.
Got to give them credit on that. So, and I thought the Yankees blew it by not getting Jack Flaherty, who ended up going to the Dodgers. I thought that if they would have got Jack Flaherty, that rotation would have been. I mean, I'm telling you, they would be the overwhelming favorites in this World Series. Now, I think people think this is going to be a tight World Series. So we'll see. I think the Dodgers win it, but stranger things have happened. So.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know a lot of people have been talking about Judge and Ohtani facing off in this series.
Mr. July.
Yeah, but last night, quiet.
They didn't do it. No.
So
listen.
That's a long series.
You got to give Stanton his due. You got to give Soto his due. They have gotten the Yankees to where they are right now. Those two guys have been the absolute key, and I think you got to put Chisholm a little bit in the mix. Although he hasn't been, he was a key guy down the stretch for them, I thought. But Soto and Stanton, they put the team on the back. They've given the team energy that we haven't seen in a long time. So that's why they're there.
Yeah, I agree. I think Soto. I think Soto gave them a lot of depth. I think that he's earned his keep too. Garrett Cole put on a show last night. He earned his keep. Haven't seen anything out of Aaron Judge yet, but it's game 1, so we'll see. Now has the first pitch been thrown? What time was game time tonight? 8?
It has thrown. Yeah, it's on right now. So Torres is up right now. So they've just Yamamoto's pitching. So they're literally just kicked it off here.
Okay. All right, I'll have to keep that on in the background.
Yeah.
We'll provide updates, and the audience usually does too. They know we're keeping tabs.
Yep. Exactly. So we'll have updates on this. Yeah.
But we'll circle back to the World Series. Let's talk about what we're smoking tonight. I have with me a gem that a good friend of mine might know this brand. A good friend of mine is kicking this brand off here in the United States. This is the Bentley White. Bentley White. That's what I'm smoking tonight. And Mr. Cooper, what do you have with you?
Well, I'm smoking a cigar. This is from a new company. It's probably, I don't give out a new company of the year award, but this one would definitely get it. It's the Domain Neutron. This is the cigar that's coming from Domain Cigars, and they have, that's where Esteban Diesel, who used to be with Roma Craft, he's now kind of struck out on his own. This is San Andreas Maduro. This scored a 91 on Cigar Coupe. That was a very high score. It was one of our highest scoring cigars because we didn't have anything above 92 this year. So, and there were very few 91s. I have been absolutely blown away with these Domain Neutrons. I think as this brand starts to build traction, you're going to hear a lot more people talking about this brand. So I am very impressed with the Neutron. They have a Habano as well, but I like the Maduro better.
Interesting. That's I don't think I've had that yet myself, to be honest. But it's definitely something I will put into my rotation. And a 91 from Cigar Coupe is a good score.
A very good score. And it's like it was consistent. Even Loomis liked it on Developing Palates, who hates everything. So
I know that says a lot.
So that says a lot as well. Yeah, those guys actually liked it as well. So and they just like I said, I think Esteban's doing some great stuff at this new factory. He's got a great track record, obviously, with Roma Craft. So I'm really excited to see what the future for this company is going to bring.
Absolutely. And as always, once again, cutting and lighting our cigars, we have with us our friends from ST Dupont, featuring Stand By for Animation, featuring the new Padron collection. Absolutely. The new Padron 60th Anniversary Collection from ST Dupont. Shake up the legacy. Now, we don't have any of those pieces with us tonight, but Coop, you have a couple of things over there with you. Your Dupont collection has been growing
Absolutely.
pretty well this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we for folks who don't know, we get loaner lighters from ST Dupont, and then we have two options: return them or buy them. So I've gotten 3 of them, and I've bought all 3.
Yep.
So, but tonight I'm using my Slimmy. So
Very nice.
I really like this lighter, and just love that when you get that fan flame, I'm not a soft flame guy, but this is like getting a soft flame in my opinion with this. I know you just reviewed the Biggie, right?
Correct.
Which is got the wider flame. That's
a little
an
bit
excellent
bigger.
one as well. Yeah, it's a little bigger, but the Slimmy's kind of same design, just a smaller flame it's got.
So the Slimmy is supposed to be design-wise and size-wise supposed to be kind of based off of the Line 2. The Biggie is based off of this lighter, which is the Legrand. Now, the Legrand, which I'll get into that for a second. So, quick backstory on this, since you brought this up, because I was kind of like researching as I was, doing my review to get all my points in there.
Yep.
So, a lot of people had asked for torch versions of Line 2, Legrand. Now, the Legrand has a torch, which I'll get into in a minute. But, so the idea with the styling was like, we're going to make a lighter that looks like it, but it's just going to be a torch. It's not going to flip open, but it's going to look like it. So the Slimmy is based off of the Line 2. The Biggie was based off of the Legrand. And then there's one called the Twiggy, which is skinnier. And I believe it's kind of more based like on the Wand, which is their candle lighter. But if I remember that correctly,
yeah.
No, go ahead, Coop.
No, the Twiggies I think are actually really nice too.
Yeah.
I think I'm not saying they're for females, but it's something you can easily put in a purse, obviously. So, but they're very good to travel with. Those Twiggies is what I would find.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Now, this is the Legrand. So the Legrand's also a flip-top lighter with a soft flame, and they do ping. They ping now. And they have the roll flint on the side. So you do get the twin flames. However, for those who don't know, if you push up on the strike, it becomes a single jet torch. Pretty strong one, too. And if you let go, it goes back to soft flame. So that is the Legrand. And it's a little bit more... money than the Line 2 because of the mechanics. It's a little bit bigger. But that is the other flip-top lighter that DuPont makes, and that's what I am using tonight on the show.
I imagine, right, at some point they're going to come out with a version of these Slimmy and Biggies that have the flip-top. I can't see them not doing
it. With torch, yeah.
With the torch. But, yeah, I mean, that would have been icing on the cake if you could do a ping with this, and I think they would sell... Like, it would just open a whole other market for them with that. So, I don't know if they have it in the works. I haven't asked Les or anything about it. But I can imagine the way DuPont thinks and is innovative. At some point, we'll see an extension off of those Slimmy and Biggies. I think getting them into the market, because they're newer lighters. They only came out like a couple years ago.
They officially shipped October of last year. So, they've been out for a year.
Yeah, so it's a year. They're only about a year. Yeah. So, and I remember when I got it, I was like, well, let me see. I don't know if I'm going to like it. And I ended up buying it. So,
yeah, they are fantastic. We have a review on that that's currently live. We just reviewed, we're in the process of reviewing all the DuPont products just because we do have that rotation. So we figured we'd get them all done and get them all out of the way. So you're going to see a lot of DuPont reviews all at once just because we have all the pieces and we figured let's just do it all and be done with it. So we have those reviews out there. But so there'll be a MaxiJet review, a Line 2, a Legrand review. I think there's a couple others too that we're working on too. So we'll have all those up there, and you can read. Oh, Defi Extreme. I know Kevin. I think is gonna do the Defi Extreme.
I did the XX Extreme actually. The the double X one I did. Yeah.
That's what. Yes, that's the one that Kevin will be doing. Because he actually just got one. So, stay tuned for that. I know a lot of people ask about the DuPont stuff, and we will be reviewing all of them. Coop's got a couple more, but we'll have some as well.
Yeah. The review was very good, and there was something you wrote in there that was very good. I want to point out is when it comes to these lighters, they don't misfire. And that was a great point. I didn't put that in any of my reviews, and shame on me. That's an absolute point. These have never misfired, these lighters, and I put these when I review a lighter we put them through the ringer. It's not like we review them one day and put a review out. I go through 30 days with each of these lighters, so of testing them, and I don't want. There's a few other lighters I've been reviewing, and when you made that point, I'm like, yeah, some of these other lighters have misfired, and these haven't. Not that they're bad lighters. They were low percentage of misfires, but this is like 0% is what I'm telling you. So
Yeah.
I was glad to see that in the review. Yeah.
And it's funny. Well, thank you for saying that. But it's funny you mentioned that too, because when I do a product review, so I don't usually review cigars. I kind of leave that to the rest of the team. But when I review products, which is primarily what I like to do, I go a few months usually. Those all those products that I've reviewed on there, I use them over several months. And the reason I do that, and I know why you do 30 days but I try to be more patient, and I really try to stretch it out, because anyone can buy something and it's going to be great for 30 days. It's after 7 months, and you throw it around all the time, and I leave whatever's being reviewed is sitting on this table, because this is where I sit and do my show. If I'm smoking and I'm working, I'm down here. This is like my other desk. So this is like my smoking office, kind of, so to speak, when I'm not doing a show. So everything sits on this table. I have stuff all over this table, and I'm grabbing it, tossing it down, grabbing it, tossing it down, grabbing it, tossing it down all day. And then several months later, I sit down and I do my review on it, and I check it again, and it's like, oh yeah, it still fires first click every time. So
yeah. Really, you got to give it to and people want to know why they're more expensive. I'm just saying, it's the little things like that. When I say 0%, I mean that's a key. That's a key. Where a few of the other lighters, I mean, they were in the single-digit percentages of misfires. I mean, not really high, which is still really, really good. Don't get me wrong, but this is a 0 threshold, and that's a key point. And I was glad to see that. Like I said, I was glad to see that in there for sure.
There's a few other lighters I'm going to be reviewing that I have that, again, like Dupont, like the models are all the same. It's usually like the style variation. And I don't want to say anything now. I'd rather, I'm going to speak probably less favorably, but I'll let you wait and read that in the review.
Yeah.
But there are, just as a comparison, I'm not trying to do a teaser thing, Coop, but just as comparison, and there's reviews coming on these products. There's other brands that make lighters and stuff that are similar price points, or more than like the $30, $20, $30, $40 stuff you normally would have. And lighters that I acquired because of they were limited editions that I wanted. And I used those lighters, and for the price, they feel cheap. There's one particular lighter I bought. I want to say it was like $250 maybe. And I used it for 2 weeks, and it started to just backspark. And it's a lighter that when you see the review, everyone's going to know what it is. And it backsparks, and it's just, and it's a pain in the ass, because you should never have to go to, like, oh, I got to fix my lighter again. And that's the one thing about Dupont, is it's like, I don't mind having something that, you pay a little bit more money for, but I know once I buy it and I fill it, and as long as I take, decent care of it, I don't have to worry about it. Some of these other products I have, I don't use them anymore. You know where they are? They're sitting up on the display shelf because they're limited edition products and they're cool and people want to see them. But I don't fucking use them because it's a pain in the ass. Really, I'm being honest. They're not made well. So, and I'm gonna review them, and you'll see why. And I know some people won't like that feedback, but unfortunately, we got to be honest here. So. Just reinforcing that point of, like, there's other products out there you can pay a lot of money for, and they, just because you pay a lot, that doesn't mean that they're great. But with Dupont, you get what you pay for. For those who are like, that's a lot of money. Wait, treat yourself when you have the money, but know that once you do, you're going to feel good about it. I promise you.
Yeah.
You can blame me. You can go on social media and you can tag me. You can tag Coop, and you can say, you guys lied to me, and I'll be like, all right, I'll eat it because I'm that confident. So, and that's not because their name's at the bottom of the screen. I generally use these products.
So the one person who's involved with accessory reviews with me is Lisa.
Yes.
Right? She actually, when I review it, when she does some of the she holds it in her hand because she's a better hand model than me. But I do have her work the lighter.
Was George Costanza not available?
George Costanza was not available, right? But the other thing is they're very easy to use. and really all the lighters she was able to easily use them. They're not really complicated. So I mean, the only thing that was really complicated accessory wise I've had is that Zycar Revolution cutter, which I haven't even had her try that one because it's just too complex.
It's on the docket, so it's on the table. See, I didn't
It's
lie.
Yeah,
It's right here. It's in the review cycle.
yeah. I have a few Zycar lighters coming up actually for review, and they did well. They're good. Look, again, for the price point of some of these Zycars, I have a $40 Zycar lighter. It just is great. So the Astral, so that's coming up. But so there's the different lighters for different people and different needs. So yeah, they're totally fine. But yeah, these are just these. I mean, honestly, they're all buy recommendations, and it's not easy to say go spend a couple $100 on a lighter. But the quality is absolutely there with these things. So I really, I mean, and I have not had as much experience with Dupont. It's really through you I've had the experience with Dupont. I have a Maxi and a Mini. That was it. I used to have a line too. I gave it to my dad because I'm just not the open flame guy. So
Right.
It's a great open flame, but I'm lazy. I prefer the torch. So
Yeah, I mean, I wrote in my review, I use torches. I do. I definitely use torches. I also have this, which is a Dupont product. It's a 2-finger cigar carrying sleeve. I don't usually use it because, just being honest, I have one and it's great, and I've used it on occasion. I just don't usually need to use one. Because I have bigger things. I carry a lot more cigars when I go out usually. So
yeah,
just 2 is usually kind of not enough. But it's very nice, and I got this years ago, and I saw this. I go, I got to add this to my repertoire, and I have this, and it's the balls, man. You got a nice solid metal base with this nice hand stitched leather top. I mean, this will last a lifetime if you take care of it. So.
The only time I use those are at weddings when I go, and I don't go to a lot of weddings these days.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's like, but weddings have tended to be the use case for those cases for me.
Yeah, I agree. Unless
you're the last wedding.
I'm the cigar guy, so I got to bring boxes because can you bring cigars to the wedding?
Yeah.
Which I've
You
done
were
that.
the last wedding
so.
I went to. Yeah, you were the last wedding I went to actually. So
really?
And the wedding before, yeah, I haven't been to a wedding. We haven't been to any weddings, and before that, it was my daughter's wedding. So we don't go to a lot of weddings these days because everyone's married now that we know. So.
Well, yeah, I could see that. I mean,
yeah. But 10 years ago, I was going to weddings every month. It seemed like, yeah. So.
Yeah, it's like I mean, we haven't been to a lot of weddings. We don't usually go to a lot of weddings, but like the last wedding I went to, my sister got married a few months ago, and before that, I think it was my own wedding. I don't even remember. I can't even tell you the last time I went to a wedding. So. Yeah. But it's weird because I'm in that age group where I should be going to weddings all the time, but I don't know, we just don't. So.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really complaining about. I mean, once in a while it's not bad, but then I hear I know people who go to weddings every fucking 4 weeks.
Paul DeGracco.
Wedding. It's like, oh my god.
Paul DeGracco was at weddings when he was on the show at least 50% of the time, it seemed like. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. 2 weddings a month it was. Like, dude, just say no.
Nicole's brother has been to a lot of weddings because he's got a pretty large, friend group from high school, and they're all, they're around our age too. So like his friend Matt got married, his friend Dylan got married. I don't think he went to his friend Kenny's wedding, but his friend Kenny just got married. So it's all his friends are been getting married. We got married. Yeah. He's not quite there yet, but maybe soon. But he's been to I feel like last couple of years it's he's been every few months he goes through a whole thing. They go away for the weekend. They do the whole thing. They do the bachelor party, and it's and then so he does a lot of them. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
for sure. Weddings are big business too.
Yeah,
Mitchell's here with us. Mitchell, Matt, our age group is getting married later in life now.
He's right. He's right on that.
That's true too. That's true too.
Yeah, I see that with my daughter's friends. That's why, my daughter's 32, so I do see that. She wasn't going to a lot of weddings in her 20s, but now more she's going.
And it's kind of, that's partially true. Mitchell's around my age. I forget how old he is. He is older than me. Everyone meets him. They're like, "Oh, you must be the youngest guy in the group." He's actually older than me.
Yeah,
but like Mitchell, Mitchell's wife, I know is a little bit older than him. So. That also kind of makes sense too. I don't know, not to get into his whole thing, but I don't know if Mitchell's wife was married before, but I know she's a little bit older than him. So, That does make sense too, and that's true. There's a lot of people waiting now, just for a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
fine.
reasons.
Whatever reasons, yeah.
But yeah, no, very very good point. It's definitely a wedding thing. If you're not being a cigar guy, if you're not the guy who's also just bringing a shit ton of cigars, because like, oh, well, can you bring, because I've gotten that call too. Like, can you bring a couple boxes? Because I want everyone to have. And it's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so been looking for a dependable pipe lighter. Sounds like this one is what I need. So very interesting. You mentioned pipe. Yeah, you're definitely gonna want to go to soft flame for a pipe. You do not. Let me say this one more time. You do not use a torch lighter for a pipe. Now, there's people out there who are going to argue that point because,
I've done it, but
I
don't
are you going
smoke
to
pipes
die?
regularly.
No, but a true pipe smoker, and I don't smoke pipes a lot. I did my educational course for several months, and then I kind of moved on from it. I don't have anything against it. It's just not something I do, but I know, like, that's a soft flame activity. Legrand and Line 2, that's what you want. That's what you want all day. Now, Coop, you might not know the answer to this. I'd have to ask Les, and he's not here. I feel like we saw this in the last 4 years at the trade show. Wasn't there a Defi that also had a soft flame in it too?
I don't remember.
Almost could have sworn I saw, unless it was like a prototype, and I'm not supposed to be talking about it. But I feel like it was a few years back. I'm pretty sure there was a Defi that had a soft flame. And I was like, oh, that's good for a pipe too.
I think you're right. I'm positive they.
But
did
at the
one.
same time, I feel like no one's talking about it. Like, unless they got discontinued.
Yeah, they did do one. You're right. I just
Hey
Googled
Siri,
it. They did do one.
text less man. Is there a soft flame version of the Defi? I gotta fix it. He'll tell me. Come on, send.
Sent done.
Thank you. Jesus. That would be good for a pipe. A little less expensive. But at the same time, you want to go all out for the flip tops. Those are great. You won't be sorry. But yeah, that's exactly what you would want. I've used a Line 2 to light a pipe, and it actually, I think it works better because a lot of soft flames, you got to push the thing down, you got to hold it, and you get like you're right over the bowl like that, and your hand's kind of close. With the Line 2, right? Like I don't have a pipe with me, but for the sake of this is your pipe, you hit it and you flick it, and then you can have your hand way back here, and you can light your pipe, and you don't have to have your finger right up there by the flame. Just it's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Michael.
Yeah. No, it's good. This you can use. You don't really want to, right? But if you flip this upside down, it locks. So
Although
you can if you can flip it when it's on, but I wouldn't advise that. Yeah.
So I don't have a flat in front of me right now because I already finished all those. I will say you might get away with a flat flame. And the reason is if you use it horizontally and you don't hold it too close to the bowl, and you slow puff light it and just let the air from the pipe just kind of suck the flame down, you might not scorch the bowl too much versus like a direct. This is out of flame. I'll use the fucking. Versus like going straight in with the torch like that, you're gonna scorch the bowl. Flat flame could be the exception. Could be an exception.
And a Slummy would work good, actually. I think think about it.
Yes. And as I wrote in my review, as Carlito Fuente has said this before, the flat flame is the closest thing to a soft flame you'll get out of a torch. And I think if you use it correctly, I think you could use a flat torch pretty well with a pipe. So,
yeah, you probably can. Yeah, you probably
that's a good
can.
point.
I don't smoke enough pipes to assess it. So.
Les already texted me back. Yes, it's very cool. Available in a navy, blue, and black. So there you go. You can get that in a soft flame as well. That's good to know. So yeah, there you go. You have several options there for good lighters for pipes. We don't usually cover a lot of pipes on this show, but glad it got brought up.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the products stand by itself. I mean, they really do. I mean, it's I'm very happy with these products. That's why I've been buying them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kevin's in the same boat. I mean, I think Kevin's bought even more than you have.
I bought every one of them. Like we got 3, and I bought every one of them.
There's a couple
and,
Kevin sent back. There's a couple he kept. There's a couple he sent back, but then he ordered a bunch recently. So I think he leveled out. So I think he's at that ratio.
Right. Well, I wasn't gonna buy the Fluo, the Maxi yet, right? And I love the way it held in my hand so much that I gotta have this.
You're like, fuck it.
Yeah, so I had to get it, and my birthday and Christmas is coming up, and Lisa really kind of gets stressed out what to buy me. In the last few years, she said, pick something you want, and I said, you know what, just get me this for my birthday. It's our birthdays are very close together. I think they're like 4 days apart, you and I.
6.
So
You're the 5th,
yeah.
right?
I'm the 5th, you're 11th, right? You're
Yep.
the 11th.
Mhm.
Yep. So yeah, it's and it was like it was fine. So
Yeah, there you go.
the other 2 I bought for myself just because I wanted to. So
I've definitely been there. I bought Nicole a lighter as a wedding present a few years
remember that.
back. She has the Gold Dust Line 2.
I know.
Which is a very cool lighter, limited edition product. I think they're definitely gone now. This was a couple years ago, so
I haven't seen them for a while.
this Bentley White is great. Have you smoked the Bentleys yet?
Yes. I like the white, and I like them both. They were good. I think the Connecticut was better. Yes.
Yes, and you know what's funny? I said the same thing to Carney, and we both said they're both great, And he originally, when it first started with him and them, he was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I think the white is my preferred, but I love them both." I smoked the green. I said, "This is good," and then I smoked the white, and I texted him. It's funny. I go, "All right, so I had the white, and I said, both great. I like the white better." And he said to me, he goes, "I was actually really into white. Now I'm really into green." So, but he still loves them both. But yeah, I mean, so I think they're very well balanced. Just I know there's only 2 right now, but they're both pretty great, and I think that they're pretty on par. A lot of times you see lines that come out and they're kind of like that, and like, oh, you got to smoke the Maduro, a natural not so much. These are pretty even, I think.
Yeah. No, they're good cigars. Hoya, coming out of Hoya. So it's from good stock, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're good cigars. They're good cigars out of Hoya.
I'm excited to see what else they make too. I know that John has said, they have plans and stuff down the road, which sure, of course they do.
Yeah.
You'd be stupid not to think so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah.
But yeah, so based on the first 2, I'm like, yeah, I really like these, and talking to John, these been pretty successful already. I know they've already sold a lot of them, and I know they got more plans to do more. So excited to see what else that they do. I really am. I know John's a friend, but now they've been out there. I talk to people are buying them. I see people posting boxes. They're good cigars. So so far so good on the Bentley front for them.
Yeah, no, good for him. Good for him.
I'm seeing a lot of comments tonight, just in passing. McAuliffe Red. Now, have you smoked McAuliffe Red yet?
I bought a box of them already.
That tells me everything I already need to know.
Yeah.
Wow. I smoked the red for the first time the other night.
Yeah.
And when I do my shit here, I'm often I have a lot of stuff. I'm like, I gotta smoke this, whatever. I remember I grabbed it, I lit it, I said, oh, let me smoke the red. I haven't had it yet. I cut it, I lit it. And then I was, because I was writing. So like I'm focused on, thinking about it. And I'm like, going back, I'm like, it's the red. I'm like, yeah. And I like smoking, I'm sitting there and I started thinking, I'm like, wow, this is really freaking good. Like,
yeah.
I think the red beat out the black. I think the red beat out. I used to think the black was like probably the best, and the black is still very good, but the red, I was like, oh, dude, I don't know.
Really good. Yeah, the blue is probably going to make the coupe list this year. It did get a 90, so the blue is probably going to make its way. I wouldn't say it's going to be. The black was a 12 on my list last year. I don't think it's going to get high enough for a 12, but it will creep its way on the list. The red's not eligible, so the red will be next year. The red's not too late in him.
Right.
So And I'm actually creeping up on the 31st is the deadline for the final reviews for the list. So
right.
anything reviewed after the 31st is you got to wait till 2025. I have like one more cigar I haven't smoked and 3 more reviews to finish before then. So, yeah.
Mitchell said, Kevin O'Connor, so far, what's your order for red, blue, and black? I've had blue and black, and they were both great. Mitchell, remind me, I have a bundle. I'll get you a couple of reds. Well, I know he's not smoking right now, but I'll get you some reds if you want them. So just shoot me a text. If you want them, just text me.
McAuliffe, they totally nailed where that cigar lies. It's in between the blue and the red.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the blue and the black. The blue and the black. So it's if you want to say blue is medium, black is almost full. This is that medium full it's in. It really is they did a terrific. Now I've been really. The thing is about those cigars, I have been much bigger fans of the Toros than the Robustos. There's a big difference, especially with the blue. There was a big difference. Yeah, the black was a little closer, but I find the Toro is where that size has worked.
Yep, same for all 3 of them. All 3 of them, I get the same feel. Yeah, the Toros are all the way.
Not that the Robusto are bad, but the Toro, there was a big difference in the blue with the Toro and the Robusto.
And I have to say, not a knock against McAuliffe, but the 3 color cigars, I think, are probably the 3 best cigars that they have. They have some other decent stuff, but these 3 new ones with the 3 colors, I see a line in the sand compared to the others. That's just
because
me.
in these cigars they were productized from the very beginning, and they sourced better tobaccos, and they've improved fermentation processes. So these are the products. But I will say this: if you smoke the Herencias with the new band, you'll notice a big difference. They're smoking better.
Okay.
Like some of that stuff some of the Herencias are smoking really good. So I think, and I heard it from other people. It's not just me. So. I was talking, and someone actually said it to me a couple weeks ago, and I said, I agree. I noticed the same thing.
I have not smoked those new Herencias, but I will make sure that I get on that, and I will give it. I
think you'll be very surprised how good the new ones are smoking. And I think those must be. My conclusion is they're using the better tobaccos. I mean, and I could be wrong. I'm inferring this is what I'm saying. But something was definitely a lot better with those. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out. McAuliffe is. They've had a lot of ups and downs over the years. And they've gone through a lot of changes in with their packaging and their portfolio and this and that. What they've been doing in the last year, they've been doing some good stuff. I still think there's a couple things they could improve on, nothing major, but product-wise, the stuff that people are buying on the shelf right now that's new.
Yeah.
They're doing something really good. So
I
gotta give it to them.
Absolutely, they've done a great job.
Cigars are performing. If they weren't, I'd say it. I mean,
Yeah, no, we would say it. They are absolutely performing. So,
to be honest, the McAuliffe A, right, and when that came out in 2020, that was like a big deal for them. Whatever. Since then, I think the McAuliffe A has, compared to what's out, it has dropped. I don't think that's their flagship cigar. I think their flagship cigar lies with these 3. I think those should be the staple of the line. I truly believe that. I think that these cigars are going to do good things for them.
I agree. By the way, I took my eye off the screen, but the Dodgers are up 1-0. So I'm not. So to keep exciting, glad about that. Go Dodgers. So
bottom of the second.
Yeah. So I did not catch what happened because I was obviously paying attention to the show, but yeah, the Dodgers are up 1-0 right now.
Let's see if I can find it. Someone in the audience will find it for us too. They'll find out what happened.
I think it was a home run. I'm not sure. I think it was a solo home run. So my son's saying it's a solo home run. What's his face? Edmund.
Tommy Edmund homers on a fly ball to left field. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So good job. What a series he's had. What a playoff series this guy's been having. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, good for him. I like him. Yeah.
Now, I will say, you still got to go play 3 games in the Bronx. That's
Well, look. I grew up in New York when 3 out of 4 years the Yankees and Dodgers were in a World Series, and the electric. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be tough in the Bronx for the Dodgers. I'm going to tell you right now.
it will be.
It
I'm a
will
Red
be,
Sox fan. I'll tell you that. It's,
it's
going to the Bronx
but
is
but
not fun.
but I will say
It's
this.
not fun coming here either, though. We're bad people. We will boo.
I-
we boo our own players.
But I'll say this: the Yankees will show incredible respect for Fernando Valenzuela passing. They are always good with that. And they always do the right thing, and they will pay tribute to Fernando. I will tell you that straight out. They will do that. They look how they treat. They were wonderful to Ortiz when you can't say anything bad. They rolled out the red carpet for Ortiz. In fact, when he
We did the
retired,
same
so.
for Jeter.
Absolutely. There's when they're off the field and you have 2 rivals who can behave like that in a professional manner. That's great. Yeah.
I was at the last game. I saw the last play that Jeter made at Fenway Park in 2014, 10 years ago. I was there. And I will tell you, that is the only time, and I don't think you'll ever see it again, when there was a lot of respect for the Yankees in Fenway Park.
Yeah.
And it was also
Yeah.
the only time, it'll never happen again, that everyone there was doing the Derek Jeter. You never would see that. You would never see that in Fenway Park. That day, especially like when they took him out and he made that last tip of the cap, everyone in that building, didn't matter what jersey they had on, they gave him the salute because, again, this kind of goes back to the comment I made in the beginning of the show. We're true baseball fans. And I think that we have our rivalries, we have our teams, and I think that is always important. But at the end of the day, as much as growing up with the rivalry at its peak in the 2000s, watching it firsthand, I mean, believe me, 2003, I remember 2003. It sucked. But always had a lot of respect for guys like Jeter because he played the game the right way, and the way he carried himself, he was a professional. He
just all the other guys on his team. All the other guys on his team cheated, but that's okay.
But Jeter, I mean, think about it. Jeter, he kept his mouth shut. He went out there, he played the fucking game, and he played it well.
Yeah.
And when he walked off the field, he carried himself like a gentleman. And
he did. He did.
You can't take it. Even Red Sox fans, you cannot take it away from him. He was a gentleman.
No, you can't. You can't. You cannot. Absolutely.
That's why a lot of people respect
Jimmy Rollins
him.
was better. Jimmy Rollins was a better shortstop, but that's okay.
Do we need to get into that right now? Does it really,
Well, you know what's funny, Matt? It was a big thing in Philadelphia, right? Because Philadelphia always feels like the inferior stepchild. So, there were the Jimmy Rollins, Derek Jeter comparisons were always there. Look, Jeter got the MVP, but Jeter got the 4 rings. So, I'd rather have the 4 rings. So
he only got 4. He didn't have 5. I thought he had 5.
Oh, you're right. He got 5. I forget. Yeah.
Does Jeter have 5? Yeah, he's got 5.
It's 2009. Well, at the time he had 4, right? Because that's when Rollins was coming up. That's why I said 4. Yeah, but the 5th was in 2009. Yeah, when they beat us. And by the way, when they beat us in that World Series, they were the better team that year. We were the second best team. That Yankee team was Sabathia that year. Yeah, they were the better team that year. They deserved to win that year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they were the better team in 2004. I mean, if you look at how 2004 went down, I mean, I think that they were the better team. I mean, however, they did collapse. So it's hard, to have that conversation. I mean, but we overcame, and it's the rest is history. But
yeah,
I mean, those first 3 games, there was we had no business winning that series.
The Yankees had Game 4 almost wrapped up, if you remember.
Dave
that
Roberts.
was almost
Dave
Roberts.
That's all I need. That's all you need in that discussion. You say Game 4, Dave Roberts. That's all you need. Dave Roberts. That's all you say. Not even Ortiz. That home run, we won the game. If it wasn't for Dave Roberts, we wouldn't even be talking about it. I stand by that. I think every true Red Sox fan, they stand by that.
Yeah.
When Dave Roberts came in to pinch hit, there's a pinch run. He stole second base. He stole it off of Mo, trying to get picked off. I think it was 4 times he threw to first base.
Yep.
And when he finally gave up, Roberts went for it. And let me tell you, he ran. And Posada, close.
Oh yeah.
The rest is history, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that was it right there. That was a good throw from Posada. You can't take that away. That was good. I mean, it was catch, fire, and as fast as you can go, and just Roberts just had it, and that much. Whew, man, I just watched the comeback thing on Netflix, so
I haven't
it's
yet.
fresh.
I watched the turnaround, the Trey Turner one. I was a little disappointed with it, although it was. There's a great story behind it. Don't get me wrong. It's about mental health and all that, and suicide. It's
Sure.
a nice. They did a nice job with it, but I think they could have made it longer. But to talk about how it changed the whole energy of the city, they really didn't talk about that piece enough. But it's a short one. The turnaround's only like a half hour. So, but they focused on the guy who started the whole thing, and he was suicidal. This guy. So, it's a nice story. But I would have loved to see them talk about that whole run to the world's to the NLCS that year. Actually, it was so.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the things on the list, getting back to cigar news, is a couple things related to the PCA. You know, Coop, I know you've already covered this, on other waves, but we haven't covered it here, so I figured I'd get into it tonight. But
I have some new. I was telling you, I have some new thoughts
I know.
on this too.
Yeah, no, I know.
Doesn't change my opinion, but we'll get into that. Yeah.
The PCA. So actually, there's two things. We'll do one first. So the PCA. Now, I know normally when we talk about PCA, it doesn't affect the consumers. Now it does. So you actually really can pay attention on this one. So the PCA announced that they have a new. What is it? Is it the Alliance? What is it that they call it officially?
It's called the PCA Alliance.
Okay, so the PCA Alliance is a program that kind of targets two groups of people. One of them is non-tobacco business. So you have people who are not directly in the cigar business, tobacco business. They're doing tobacco business. Like liquor stores, liquor companies, stuff like that. From what I understand. That can be members of the PCA, but they're not doing direct tobacco business. The other part of it is for consumers with no access to the trade show.
I think both have no access to the trade show. Actually, yeah.
Actually, yeah, I think. Well, no, but I thought I don't know. It's not. I might be wrong on that. I thought the first one allowed people to come to the trade show to do business, because last year, they had they had some liquor people there at the show. So I thought maybe it was a way to get them in there to but work with brands.
But they were associate members. They weren't people who walk the floor as buyers. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. But the consumers are definitely not, and so I want to say, what is the fee? It's like $100, $150 or something. You pay to become a member.
It's like $99 for the consumer, and I think it's like $250 for the non-tobacco business.
Okay. So a couple of things with that. One, I will say, PCA is about generating money to have legislative fights in the cigar regulation side of the business. So selling, or not selling, but you put these memberships out there that people pay them and they're bringing in money that helps fund. I get that, and I'm for that, because funding the PCA to do, as you know, Coop, there are things the PCA does that they should be doing, and it does help. I get that part of it, but I feel like there's a couple of holes in this. And you and I haven't really talked about this, but I'm gonna let you now take over and say your piece of it, and then I'll kind of follow back. Oh, and the Yankees have scored. It's the middle of the third.
Soto hit a home run. That's when I banged my fist, actually.
It's tied at 1.
Yeah. All right. So, the thing is this, okay? They have tackled the most hot topic, lightning rod topic that the organization has dealt with as long as I've been here, and it's when you put the name consumers in there, right?
Yep.
And I want to give a little history here, and this is where this is going to play into a lot of my newer thoughts. Back in the end of 2012, they proposed a consumer day for the last half day. And they were going to do let consumers on the floor. They were going to do a cigar roast. It generated a shitstorm. and it was shot down pretty quick. I think Abe was trying to push for it at the time with the roast, cigar roast. It was shot down hard. Then 2019 Cigar Con goes, and I was look, Cigar Con. I was extremely critical of them for that because of the execution, but because they didn't look at the history of this thing back in 2012-13 when it was shot down so fast. And that thing almost brought the whole PCA down. Okay, it was bad. It was badly planned, badly executed, not thought through. But one of the things they said, Matt, I don't think you were at this trade show, was when there was one good point, and I think it was Christian Aroa who made the point, when they was trying to sell the Cigar Con idea, and half the people, by the way, there was this meeting they had, right? And about half the cigar industry was at the Circle Bar. I'm not exaggerating this. Messaging me, asking me what's going on in this meeting, right? They weren't even there, right? But Christian Aroa made a really good point. He said, and it's the point you said, we need new sources of revenue. We need strength in numbers. We need to do this, and this is a way to do it, right? Well, when Cigar Con got shot down, bad idea.
Hey, Dan.
Now, yeah. Then
Sorry.
they come back this year, and they say, all right, we're going to try to tap that in, but we're going to not touch the trade show issue. And that is setting off a lot of, I don't want to say it's as bad as firestorm as 2019, but there has been some pushback on this, right? And I think some of it's a little unfair to the PCA. But that being said, I think there's some criticism here that's warranted. We can get into that, right?
Yeah.
So I compared this to, in New York City, there was this project called the Westway Project on the west side of Manhattan, okay? And it was a very well-planned project where they were going to build this West Side Highway. Then they were going to, then there were plans to put stadiums in there. They were trying to get the Olympics. And it was well thought out. It wasn't like, it was well thought out, but the residents did not want it. They did not want it, and they fought tooth and nail, and they won. They stopped the stadium move. They stopped the West Side Highway. New York didn't get the Olympics. I mean, it was shot down. And the more and more I look at this, Matt, I don't think the PCA base wants this. There are some people that want it, but I don't think there's enough support even for this program. The more I'm thinking about it, and I think there's a lot of holes we could talk about for sure. I just think that this needed to be really ironed out before you tackle the most hot potato issue this industry has dealt with outside the FDA in the 14 to 15 years I've been covering it. It had to be buttoned down a lot more. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I think tapping into consumers is a good move. It had to be thought out more, and especially if you're trying to get $99. But here's the thing: I went around the horn with Abe on this. Abe, no one's forcing the consumers to join either, so keep that in mind. You're not being forced to join this. So if you want to join it, it's great. No one's holding a gun to you yet. It's a little different with retailers because, obviously if they want to get certain deals and everything, they have to join the PCA. So it's a little different for retailers, but consumers, they don't have to. It's a nice to have. If you want to have it and support the industry, it's great. But I think there's holes, and we can certainly get into what some of those holes are tonight.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's our primary part of discussion. I mean,
again,
and I agree. Like having consumers involved in the right way, I agree. Especially if it's generating revenue. It's always about generating revenue. That's what the trade show's for, really. It is our premier trade show, and that's where we get a lot of business done. But the money that is made off of the trade show is what they use to partially fund the PCA and all the people who work there and all the stuff that they do in court and in Washington, Capitol Hill and all that stuff. That's what they do. That's what the money goes to. Now, I think you're right. When the CigarCon thing came up, I remember this, and I remember just right away hearing about like people pulling out of the trade show. Several key names come to mind.
Yeah. And the Big Four was pulling out no matter what. By the way,
I know I had that. I know that was different, but like there was other names that I'm like I don't know if I should say, but I know at least I don't know how public it was, but privately I know there was several names I heard they were like I'm not doing that.
And a couple actually didn't go to 2021 too. Those companies, just so yeah, there was real opposite. I mean, like I said, again, this is not something that has been sold to what is a retail organization for 80-something years, 90 years is what I'm saying. It has not been sold well enough yet to do that.
Yeah, and and you make a good point. It's a retail organization. Yeah, well, it's a legislative group, obviously, but it's a retail group first.
Well, they're trying to redefine themselves. And when they did this, that's when they rebranded it as PCA, and they said, we want to be a full-service organization. Well, Matt, the first thing when I heard this, right, is this is CRAs. You're really crossing into CRA right now, right? And you could say CRA did a bad job or whatever, but it's still CRA's mission. And listen, I heard an interview that Mike Copperman, the executive director, did, and he was not aware PCA was doing this. And that says a lot to me. That he was kind of blindsided. I don't think they should have given CRA. If you're a good partner, they should have given them a heads up on that. I think that was a mistake. I don't think that helped. And Mike Copperman said all the right things, and he did not bash the PCA. But when they asked him if he knew about it ahead of time, he did not know about it ahead of time.
The other thing too is this. See, you bring that up, and that goes back to what I've always said. And I actually just had this conversation recently with a few different people from the business. And it kind of goes back to that whole, like, you got PCA, you got CRA, you got the CAA, and everything that they do. It's like, I think it was Carney who said it best. Carney was one of the people who said to me, it's like, everyone's like all like, why do we have so many groups? And it's like, that was back, before like the meta decision and all the stuff John always used to say publicly, It's like this industry is asking to be regulated. Like, no one can just like work together. You know what I mean? Like, we got you got why like the perfect example, right? The firearms industry. You got the NRA, the National Rifle Association. Now, I don't know how many other like firearm groups there are, but that's the one I know. The NRA. I think it's the one everyone knows. The National Rifle Association. They seem to be like in the gun industry. They seem to be the people who like that's like the equivalent, right? And I'm pretty sure there might be other groups, but they are like the premier, gun group. They lobby for gun rights and all this, right? And it's like, all right, there's one, and I'm sure there's others in other industries. And it's like our industry is the smallest out of like almost any industry out there, and we got 3 different fucking groups. Add in the TAA. If you want to make it 4, make it TAA.
That's not a trade association. That's a club.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
But for the sake of the argument, right? But that's like it's another group where like if it was all one group, like it would cover everybody. So
well, okay, yeah, and the idea is what I would have is one organization because they each serve a different master, right? So you have PCA originally for the retailers, CAA for the manufacturers, CRA for the consumers. The idea is you'd have it under one umbrella and have the 3 pillars kind of run those different groups. We don't
departments.
Have that. Right, departments. And if you needed an example of how divided our industry was, after the Meta decision, and I wrote about this on Coop, there were 3 different press releases from the 3 different organizations, each claiming how they led the road to victory. Okay,
and I brought this up with several different people, and everyone's like, "Well, some did more than others." So and it's like, all right, I'm just saying.
Stop! Like, I'm just saying. It's still they all did it, right?
Home run Dodgers.
And I'm not. Yes. So yeah, they all. But that told me that we were not on the same page. This underscores it because. Again, you're selling now consumer membership. CRA's membership, I believe now is $25 base membership for consumers. This is $99. What am I getting? Why do I want to join both? And now these are questions that are going to have to be answered. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see a lot of – they're adding some stuff, I think, to try to make that $99 worth. So I think PCA is doing it. But they were not there yet to do this, and I think they jumped the gun on this a little too soon. I think it's a good idea, I would say, but I would have waited to have all your benefits flushed out, and you could really sell this as a value prop. I deal with software sales, and the worst thing is to come out with a 1.0 version of software that doesn't have half the functionality, right? It's like, well, why am I buying this now? That's kind of the answer. Now, in this case, you could say, well, you're helping fund the industry.
I get that. Up. Freddie Freeman homers. It's now 4-1. Another Dodgers home run.
Thank you.
Not to cut you off, but it's like, damn, they're putting on a clinic right now.
Oh man, no
4-1.
pub subs for Allen tonight.
Don't start trouble, Coop. That's how it starts. And then he appears.
Yeah, I know. Don't.
If he shows up now, it's on you. Don't even look at me.
You don't want to entertain him.
It's like Beetlejuice, you know. You say it 3 times, there he is. It's showtime. Oh man, wow. But anyway, no, I agree. I think that there should have been a little bit more offered.
And I think they will. I think they will beef this
Yeah.
up. I have confidence. Like they announced the Cigar Academy thing, which
That's
is
the
the
other
education
thing.
piece. But the Cigar Academy thing itself is not baked yet. It's still in the. It's a 1.0. It goes back to a 1.0. They don't have all the membership things, you know. And I hear, well, we're developing stuff. I'm like, no, get the stuff developed and then sell it to me. You know, again, it's a 1.0. It's 1.0 software is what I'm hearing, and that's again just in my world. It doesn't really fly. I think there were other ways you could have incentivized consumers to do donations. There's a lot of other ways we could do that. You could certainly do that. I don't think this was ready to sell a membership level. I think it will be, and I think they're going to do a good job. I have a lot of confidence in Josh and the staff. So this ain't, but I just think it wasn't there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that there should be more. I think there will be more. I think they should have waited. I think it'll work in the long run, especially when they add more things to it. Yes, I just think, like you said, like I think it's gonna have a slower startup, and then it's gonna be disappointing in the beginning. And I just, but you're right. If they had more to sell on,
would it have been hard to say, hey, with the $99 membership, $25 goes to your CRA membership, and then you build the strength up and that, and you're doing goodwill? Would that have been hard to do? That would have been a better benefit in a lot of ways than getting action to cigaraction.org, which you can get for free. You don't need to be a member to do that. I'm just saying there's things you could have done to really kind of work with your partners there, and that was what was a little disappointing. Now, we've had our talks on CRA, and they have made their fair share of mistakes. There's no question about it. But I'm just saying, now you're asking consumers who have, a lot of people don't have disposable income. What are we going to do here? Yeah.
I remember Alex Tavella made a comment about this. It was like, I think it was on Facebook. He made a comment like, so I'm going to ask a consumer to spend $99 to be a member of this, and they don't get to go to the trade show, which I don't think they need to be there anyway, which I know that they all hate when I say that, but it's not. Right. It's not a consumer event. It's not like the Great Smoke. It's not there for entertainment. It's there for business. So sorry, but it's the reality. But so it's like, I bet you there's a lot of people who are gonna be confused by that. They're like, oh, I can be a member now, and they'll sign up, and then they're like, well, you can't go to the trade show. I was like, well, what do you mean I'm a member now? And that's I bet you, even though they said it, how many people are not gonna know that, and they're gonna sign up, and then they're gonna be like, why can't I go to the trade show though? I spent $99, and they go, that's not part of it. There's going to be a lot of people who sign up, and then they're going to be blind. Oh, well, what do you mean? Because either they weren't told right or they didn't read. I don't know, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to be yeah. And look, and ultimately it already has raised the debate. Once again, Abe was starting to raise the point on this, and Abe and I really went at it, by the way, offline on this, because I'm like, Abe keeps saying like how I'm like, he was calling me like, you're part of the people stuck in the past. I said, Abe, I agree that I think we should have consumers at the trade show. I do agree with that. I think there is but the industry doesn't want it. The PCA, which is a retail organization, has made it clear we don't want the consumers coming. You have to work within that frame, because otherwise, this is what happened. It showed 5 years ago when CigarCon tried, and they were blindsided. They did not. I knew the backlash the day they announced it was going to be worse than the first time, and I was right. And they cannot touch that one. And Alex brought up the thing about board members. By the way, you can't be a CRA board member either, just so you know. Although there's nothing to stop them, but I don't think they should be board members. I think these are associate. You're opening up an associate membership. You're not going to have the same full membership that a retail member would have. I don't think you should. I think it's a different, you're certainly including them, and there's things you could do to really make it worth their while, but I don't think they should be walking the trade show floor or being on boards. It's a retail organization still.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, if you're going to be a board member, you have to have business skin in the game. I mean, because that's ultimately there's a lot of discussions and decisions. I mean, you have to know how the business works, and with all due respect, I mean, the business is. There's a lot that could be said that I won't get into on the air, but this is also a very finicky business because of the kind of business that it is. And I mean, there's a lot that I still don't know, but I know enough to know that it's very tricky. Yeah, you really have to know it if you're going to be on a board and make decisions like that. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't get talked about.
No, it doesn't.
That does happen. That I think would blow people's minds. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Listen, when you get involved, when you get involved in serving on boards, okay, as someone who has served on boards, you get an education on things you would never think. You have to understand finances, legal, insurance things. You really, it's not just like you're sitting there and you're gonna have like the TAA where you just have a party, right? I'm being serious here, right?
Yeah, I know.
When you have to deal with finances and legal, and I've heard this from some of the PCA board members, guys who've come on, they've confirmed. I said, yeah, this is what playing on our board is all about. You just can't put. Now, I'm not saying there isn't I would say maybe open one board seat for consumers. I have no problem with that, right? But you obviously really have to. You can't just have anyone nominate. That's where I even had a problem with the open nominations because. Again, you want to make sure someone's qualified to be on the board, and so far I think they've done a good job with the people they've added. So I don't think it's been a problem, but it could be a problem if someone just gets on there. You know some of the characters that are out there. I mean, it would be a nightmare if they got on the board. So, yeah. So,
but I think you're right. In terms of, I think that there'll be more perks to it that will be rolled out.
It has to be. There has to be. They have to do it.
And I think if they don't know it already, which they probably do, they will very quickly. And like CRA, so consumers can join CRA. It's $29 a year, and you get to be a member. Your money is a contribution. You get a couple of cigars in the mail. You get the
Do you still get the cigars? I thought they discontinued that.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know. I don't know. Auto renew. It just kind of shows up in the mail. Oh yeah, you're right. I don't think I ever got anything.
I think they discontinued that. It used to be $35.
Yeah, I think it's $29. Because you know what? I was just doing my business expenses list, and I list all that shit on there. And I remember I looked it up. It was $29. I was like, oh, yeah.
But they do this Freedom Pack, which is one of the great deals out there. Because they really put good cigars in that Freedom Pack.
Well, yeah, I forgot about the Freedom Pack. That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And this again, if PCA did the same thing, there's nothing wrong with PCA doing their own version of that. You're going to raise money with that. It's a great program. And the cigars that are in that CRA pack, you and I were just talking about kind of unicorn type cigars. There's some good cigars in there you're going to get. So it's a hell of a deal.
Usually it's Fuente puts an Opus, LFD puts an Andalusian Bowl. Pete will put in some sort of limited edition,
pumpkin.
Tatuaje. Yeah, pumpkin.
Black, put it on black. Put it on black.
Put it on black. Oliva usually
good
puts in like a Melanio Serie V, like the box press Torpedo, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, like good cigar. Who else is in there? Is EP Creo in there? They put something in there. Yeah, they're in there. I believe Raphael, he put something in there, right? Isn't there usually an aging room? Or a Monte Cristo or something?
Yeah, I have the pack. I have what's in this year's pack. I have the 10 cigars here, and it's a $204. You're getting the Opus X Scorpio Maduro, VSG Torpedo, Encore Black. You get that J.C. Newman Diamond Count Classic No. 9 Bellicoso, which is a hard one to get. Yep. The Andalusian Bull.
Yep.
The My Father Garcia and Garcia Toro, which is like a $40 cigar.
Yeah.
Melanio Figurado, Padron Black,
Rocky
Patel DBS, and the Tatuaje Smash Pumpkin. That's a good. That's a hell of a deal.
That's
you're
a hell of
getting
a
with
pack.
That's a great pack, and then all the proceeds go back to the industry, and they're donated by the manufacturers. And that would have been a great way, I think, to kick off PCA doing this, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
And they find a company to handle it. Like, so what CRA does, they pick different companies, they rotate the distribution, I think. So I think this time Ashton's done it in the past. This time JC Newman did the distribution. So it's you get your JC Newman rep sells it to stores. It's a foolproof system. And guess what? You can find 10 other cigars from the PCA can find 10 other cigars very easily and get some of those PCA exclusives that have no buzz and put them in there. I mean, that would be what I would do, because the PCA exclusives have been a disaster in terms of not that they're bad cigars, but they just haven't created the excitement that they were hoping it was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about this recently. The last couple of years, the PCA exclusives, it's like, where's the
They made the TA look good. They made the TA look good. I'm kidding.
Yeah, and half the time it's like you don't even know about it. We walk into the booth like, oh yeah, we have a PCA exclusive. It's like, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Not because I wasn't paying attention, because nobody told us. So it's like, you do? Oh, I didn't know you guys had one. Oh yeah, there it is. It's like, oh, all right, well.
I mean, if you get an Opus X Scorpio, that's a hell of a deal in itself.
I mean that's a pretty big deal. That's usually a lot harder.
I'm gonna buy one of these packs. I'm buying one of these packs. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty. I mean that's a fancy cigar right there.
Yeah, and I think it's better that CRA's been doing the packs as opposed to just giving everyone 2 cigars, which they were just always average cigars, and not them wrong, but I think this is a better way to do it.
Isn't there actually 2 different packs now? Wasn't there like a spring one and a fall one?
They do, yeah, they do them semi-annually.
Yeah.
So they change them up, and like I said, they pick a different company to handle the distribution of them.
Yeah.
So I know
that's right.
Yeah.
So they got multiple packs that are going out.
Yeah, and some look, Floor's always going to give you the Andalusian Blue. That's their signature, big one. But Padron switched off the black size a few times, and so it's a good deal. It's a hell of a deal, and those are, like I said, 10 great brands you're getting as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a great system. Selling the memberships, it's a smaller fee. We've been members of it for years. What the PCA is doing, I mean, here's the other thing too that I wanted to bring up. So, and I know what the answer is, but I don't know if I agree with it. So we used to be regular members of the PCA as media because we actually are involved within the business. I mean, we go to the show, we deal with the manufacturers, and then they took that away, but we can still go to the trade show. Yes, because we have to file a media application, which is fine. We get to go.
Well, but I think they fixed some things positive with that too, by the way.
And sure, but I know they're like, well, you guys can be like the associate member. And it's like, yeah, but like we also used to spend more, and make a bigger contribution to the group, and we were actual like.
My fees went up with the new program actually, because of the size of my team.
Actually, that's true too, because you got to buy so many damn tickets.
Yeah.
But regardless, but regardless, I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like, all right, well, I don't know.
I want to have a conversation with Josh on this topic, and I haven't had that one with him yet, because I think we technically don't have a media membership right now. We have, what we'll do is we're invited to the trade show. So, like, if you notice, you don't get PCA magazine anymore, which is one of the consumer benefits, by the way. And I liked getting PCA magazine. I did like getting PCA magazine. And we stopped getting it. And because we're technically not members, we're not really missing out on. If you want to say we're missing out on a magazine, it's not.
I don't care about the magazine, but it's nice to flip through.
But I said this on Abe, right? It's an ego thing. I kind of want to be a member of the organization. It's just an ego thing, and if you want me to pay an extra fee on top of it, I'm fine, right? I feel like I want to have a trade association credential with it. So, and I'm fine paying for that, by the way. I'm totally fine. I'm not expecting that for free. So that's something I want to have a conversation with Josh. I think it doesn't have to be a huge fee, $50 a year or something like that. We get to say we're a PCA member, we have a membership card, something like that. And that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat.
You don't
with
have to, and you don't have to be one. By the way, no one's for. You can still go to a trade show under the program they have, but
Yeah.
I'd like to have some. I guess they could say I could join as a consumer. I guess they could tell me that, right? But that $99 a little. Nah, I think that's a little steep. You're asking for, considering I'm paying like $600 for badges every year. So.
Well, yeah, because it ends up costing us a lot more money to be a part of that
Yeah.
show. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I'm paying that for.
Yeah,
what? I get to go either way. So
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's an ego thing. I would like to be a member still. That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to bring up with you, have you spoken to Scott Pierce since he joined the CAA?
Yes. We had him on. Actually, Bear and I interviewed him very early on. It was more of a when we talked to him, he had just started, so I need to have like a full conversation with him.
That's what I mean. Like now, like
yeah, I normally don't like having a guy who joins a company on a show because the reason why we had him on was to talk about his tenure at PCA. That's what we had him on. But we didn't really get into a lot of CA stuff. I usually like to see 6 months on the job, how they do, and then there's a lot of things I could talk about with the programs and stuff that are going in. So it's kind of getting to that time. I do want to interview him.
Yeah. I haven't really. We've talked a little bit about getting him on the show, and I have to follow up with him. But I've been wanting to get him on the show, and I want to talk to him about kind of like what his plan is. What he's working on. CAA it's a very different kind of organization.
It's for the manufacturers.
It's more directed for the manufacturers, but covering the business, right? It's nice to know like what's going on over there because they still do things that have effects on the business, right? So, and I've talked to a couple of major manufacturers who have, and I won't name names, but have told me privately like fuck them, I won't be members of them anymore, and this and that for a lot of reasons. And so I'm like, oh, all right. So I'm curious, and Scott, I always felt Scott did a lot of great things for the PCA. I'm just curious what a guy like Scott, is bringing to the table for them and what he's doing. Does he try to make things a little bit different, with CAA? I don't know. I'm just curious.
The annual meeting's coming up next month. Usually it's in early November, so I think anytime after that annual meeting, we'll know a lot. So I'm gonna try to get some of my sources who are going into that meeting to give me dirt on that.
Oh, Coop, did you just freeze? Oh no, what happened?
It's gonna be his first big
There we go.
hoopla thing with the organization. So we'll see. Yeah, but I have not. Yeah. So I think like 6 months on the job right now certainly is a. I haven't interviewed Josh since he took the job either, so it's another one. We're gonna get him on at some point too. But Josh has been very.
Josh we had on, recently. 2 months ago. I want to say.
Yeah.
2
You had
months
him on.
ago?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And we talked about a lot of things. He has a lot of ideas and stuff that he's working on and things he wants to do with the organization, and I want to see the execution of those and see how it goes.
He's really easy. He's been very accessible.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't want to like beat PCA up too much because I just been traveling. I haven't had a chance to have conversation with him or kind of exchange messages with him. So in fairness, like I said, I don't want. I'm not ready to. I guess I think there's some holes in this program, but
but I'm not going to bash them either. I don't think they need to be bashed. I mean,
they don't need to be bashed.
Constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism, but I think he has been the most transparent and open leader. And Scott was great about it. Now Josh, I keep telling people, go back to the days of Bill Spahn where we couldn't get a message return from the IPCPR. We would call and we get no response. So they've come a long, long way.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And look, they could have thrown me out of the IPCPR after 2019 when a few of us really hammered them about CigarCon. And that trade show with Gerald was a disaster for them. So
yeah,
they were not happy with me. I can tell you that. So. I think we got past it, but yeah, they were very upset at me. I think they were more upset at certain other people, but and I think that might have saved me actually. So,
yeah, I mean, I remember the fallout from that show. That was like, oh man,
it was
they were to burn
it
down.
It was a bad show, and and I go back again. This is the apathy of our industry sometimes when they're announcing this cigar con, and it was already a buzz leading into this, and there was going to be this open floor meeting, and manufacturers are more busy at the Circle Bar, and they're criticizing this from the Circle Bar. That's all. That's sad. Okay, that's sad. Give these people, show the respect, show up there, and if you have a problem with it, speak up. And the funny thing is, no one spoke up in the meeting till afterwards. They were all afraid to speak up.
Yeah.
I heard there was another meeting on the retail floor, and that's where the shit hit the fan. So yeah, I think they did. Like I said, you can blame PCA, but the apathy of the membership base. I'm telling you, they were all at the Circle Bar. Because they're messaging me, wanting to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of goes back to what I said. There is a disconnect with
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just wish it wasn't that way. I wish that it was.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is for now. But
Yeah.
that's why when I said Scott going to CAA, like, what does he do? What does he do with that group? After watching what he did with PCA and.
Yeah, it's a very different group.
It is, but can
yeah,
it change?
But it can change. I think it can, and I think we've seen his leadership style. And he's a very effective leader, and can navigate you through some very tough times. And look, he was at the helm with that disaster in 2019, and he brought when that 2019 trade show happened, and then they canceled 2020. The questions were happening if there would ever be another trade show, and that was a serious question going on. That was not just conjecture. Then they furloughed people. It was bad. And he brought the organization back from the dead that year. And you got to give him credit on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what they did with 100 days, with the pandemic still going on, with all the rules and all the stuff that was going on,
they did a great
pretty
job.
damn good for 21.
They did a really good job, and I thought 24 they took a little step backwards, but not a big one. There were a couple of issues I thought with this trade show, particularly on the media end.
23 was a great show. It was probably one of the best shows they had in a long time.
I think Matt, they underestimated the simplicity. I think people were happy with the move to the spring, but I think now people are seeing the ripple effects of a spring show. And now I think a lot of things we talked about that would happen are happening. Like, all the buying happening at the beginning of the year. Excess inventory is going to hurt sales later in the year. I think these are things that all of us talked about that would happen, and now we're starting to see it. I've seen a couple of manufacturers told me I was wrong to want the trade show. We need to move the trade show back later in the year. So, not a lot, but I'm saying a couple have told me, and significant manufacturers have told me that.
Yeah.
Some have been happy with it, but some haven't.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've heard the same, I hear a lot of people talking about New Orleans. A lot of people who won't say it publicly, but people complaining about New Orleans and going to New Orleans.
They have got to get the smoking situation crystal clear what it's going to be. And right now, I think we're looking at outdoor smoking in New Orleans. So for the most part, and if it rains, they have got to have a plan B. Even if the plan B is opening the convention center at night for smoking, they have got to make sure that they don't, because they have the trade show going back there in 26, and you don't want to mess that up.
Because if this show don't go right, it's going to drop in 26, and then you go back to Vegas in 27, maybe, and then
maybe.
I think people will come back, but I mean, because they kind of know what to expect. But for as long as it's in New Orleans, if it don't go right, this next one,
you cannot. And I am not comfortable the smoking situation is flushed out to the point it should be flushed out yet. I just don't. I just don't see the venues where it's going to be. Like the guy, and hopefully it comes. Okay,
we're 6 months away.
It's very close. We're going to be end of the year before long. So, and I know that they've been working on stuff. It's not like they haven't, but I know it's not figured out yet, and I know we don't have indoor venues. So, they have got to figure this out, and that's on them. That's on them. They decided to move this trade show to New Orleans, and they wanted to move it to the spring, and now they don't have. They've got. It should be their biggest priority. I hope that's what's keeping them up at night right now. It should be keeping them up at night. It's a problem, and hopefully this is a non-issue, and we could say in late April, PCA did a great job with this. Okay, that's what I want to say, and I have some confidence they can, but they have got to get there. If it rains and you have outdoor venues, you are screwed. I'm just telling you.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to deal with that.
Yeah.
But let's check in on the World Series really quick.
4-1, and Rodon has been yanked from the game.
Yeah, no surprise.
Put Jake Cousins in. That was a mistake. Look, the New York has to get out of there with a split. Because if they get out with a split, they're going to be in this World Series. But they go down 2-0. It's going to be tough. But they can. I mean, like I said, it's going to be tough. LA's going to have a tough time in New York, but you do not want to be down 2-0. And by the way, Juan Soto, he's the guy. They're down 1-0. He ties the game. This guy's a money player. He's an October baseball player. And Matt, it was funny. They did I was watching one of the games, and they cut to Hal Steinbrenner after Soto hit a home run, and it was like the typical Hal Steinbrenner, no emotion. He's probably thinking, "Shit, how much is this going to cost me now?" With that contract.
Because that's his bargaining chip right there.
George would be pumping his fist. He goes, "That's a Yankee." He'd be going like, "Yeah, I'll pay him." That's not how.
Oh yeah, George was different. George was very. George was. He was an animal.
Yankee pride. He'd go, "That's Yankee pride." I mean, and I loved, because growing up in New York, George was bigger than life. He was the best thing to happen. And he did a lot of crazy things, but actually he became later in life. He became this beloved guy later in life. It was kind of funny, and people appreciated him.
Remember at one point, I mean, this was before my time. You remember this? When he used to be so involved that at one point they had to be like, "Listen, no, you gotta fuck off," because like
they forced him out for a while.
Yeah,
he apparently was dealing with the
you're out.
Yeah, and he learned his lesson. He brought in Gene Michael, and he let Gene Michael run the show after that. And then eventually Watson and Cashman came in, and they have had stability. Cashman, he got him in the World Series this year. You can't really give Cashman a failing grade.
Dude, Cashman's been the GM since I was a little kid.
98 he came in. He's 27 years. It's 26 season, actually, yeah. So he's been there a long time, and
I'm surprised.
But George was like, George, they'd lose the World Series, and he's apologizing to the fans. I mean, that's what George would do. And but Hal is just sits there like, man, now I got to pay him $600 million instead of $500 million. I'm sure that's what he's thinking. And I think Hal's idea is I'm making billions for the family here. George was like, I'll make my money, but I want to win. There's a big difference.
Yeah. No. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees are a team that could win 3 in a row if they lose tonight. I think they could go home and win 3 in a row.
It's
hard to do. But
yeah.
I think they're capable. They didn't limp into the playoffs.
Why aren't you watching the game, Alan? He's already commenting. Why aren't you watching your this is a World Series. You're a Yankee fan. What are you doing here?
I don't even see his comments.
He's here. I appreciate him being here. Don't get me wrong. Why aren't you go watch your team? You're not done. The game's not over yet.
Wow. Coop got fired up tonight.
No, look, you know me, when my team is in a championship series, especially, or a play, I am off the grid. I turn off social media. I am gone.
All right, so just so everybody knows, like, there's a lot of so there's been new comments, and they're not refreshing on my broadcast again.
We don't want to put these comments up, by the way. Seriously.
No, it's fine.
He doesn't like George. That's fine. There's things, we don't want name calling here going on. So
it's called multitasking.
No, you don't multitask. You have a singular. I do one thing when the Phillies are on in the playoffs.
Coop turns his fucking phone off. I can't even call him to ask him a question. Like, there's been times I need to talk to him, and I'm like, oh, the Phillies are on. I have to wait.
In fact, I turned the phone on during the final game right this year, and I messaged Alex. I said, I'm done. I'm out of here. He's like, you messaged me in the middle. I said, I'm done. I said, I can't watch this mess anymore. And I was like, I'm done. So I was like, that was it.
I remember. I think I texted you. After that game. Or I remember texting you about it at one point. I just remember you just answered like one word. It was like travesty. I was like, He's
I was
Or
never.
no, like it was
I
like embarrassing.
I was never more embarrassed to be a Phillies fan than I was this year. This was absolute. It was a travesty. It was embarrassing, top to bottom. It was bad, and I hold everyone accountable, even my favorites like Brandon Marsh and stuff. They all have to look in the mirror and say, what do we have to do a better job with? Because this was terrible. And no, we're not signing Juan. There's people think we're not getting Juan Soto, guys. No,
He's going to the Yankees.
he should go back to the Yankees. You know what? The Yankees, this guy's a money player. This guy's been the best thing to happen. Him and Chisholm have been the best thing to happen to that team this year.
What about Judge?
Well, Judge was there already. But Judge hasn't done
Oh, you
anything
mean
in the
just
playoffs.
this year? Okay, yeah.
But Judge needs to have that Yankee moment in the playoffs. And if he has a couple home runs and they win a couple games in the World Series, he could turn that around. He's got to have because he's held to the highest standard, unfortunately. You have 58 home runs, 140 plus RBIs. You're gonna be held to the higher standard. You should be held to a higher standard.
Yeah,
George would have never put up with that. George would be all over this guy. I made you a Yankee, and I made you the captain, and he'd be all over him on that.
Yeah, you got to have that moment. I mean,
This is
all
not
the captains had a moment.
I was talking to my sons. I said, "This is not Little League baseball anymore. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. There's nothing acceptable than a championship here. That's just how it is. This is professional sports. This is not in Little League. It's a different story. I get the whole have fun thing and stuff, and you have some good game. This is the stakes that are never higher, and that's why I'm so frustrated with my teams lately. I'm like, this is millions and millions more money than I'm going to see in my lifetime. These guys get 1 year. It's terrible.
all your teams falling flat.
Oh, the Sixers have been Sixers. Flyers are a disaster. I don't even watch the Giants anymore, Matt. Honestly, if they're on I go to my cigar place to watch games on Sunday. If they're on Red Zone, I see them. But I have not watched the Giant game from start to finish since that Cowboy opening day last year. I have not. I will
I remember
not watch.
that. It was it was week 1. Week 1. You didn't even get to week 2. It was week 1. You went. I'm done. I don't want to talk about it. I'm you did. You were done. You've talked about it, but
I've been no. It's not that I tuned out on it, but I mean, I'm not. And plus, what happened is that's when they raised the price of the Sunday ticket too, and that's the way I would watch it. Right?
Sucks.
It's like double the price. I'm like, so no, I'm not watching. Occasionally, I haven't really caught a Sunday night or game when they're on yet. I've done other things. I have my family here. I just can't. I can't. I think. I just can't. I invest. The Sixers are a mess. The Flyers are a bigger mess. And the Phillies are really in a. If they don't make some tweaks to this team, I think they need a top to bottom change. If they go in and just business as usual, we're not gonna make the playoffs next year. So,
who are your backup teams? If you're not gonna watch the Giants, you don't have a backup team.
But whoever's on, who's ever on, basically. If I always like the Brewers a little in baseball, so I put on the Brewers a bit.
I support the Phillies for you guys because I know so many people.
Yeah,
I like the Phillies as a team. They're a good organization.
Yeah, I do. I obviously the Red Sox with you guys. There's a lot of Ben's Braves. I don't mind once they're past the Phillies. So there's stuff like that. Golden State Warriors with basketball. I like. I'm not a fan, but I like watching them. Edmonton with the hockey, I've always loved, going back to the Gretzky days. But I'm not saying I'm a fan. I'm invested in those teams.
I like watching the Chiefs. I know everybody hates the Chiefs now, but I like watching the Chiefs because I got to watch the Patriots dynasty, and now you got the Chiefs as that new team that's winning all the time. So I like watching and I like Mahomes. When people don't like Mahomes, people like Mahomes. I think he's good. I like him. He's got 3 rings.
Guy's great.
Year.
The guys are great. I love Andy Reid. I always liked Andy Reid.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. He's a good dude. He's a good guy. He's gotten better as a coach, I think, over the years. I was not a big fan of his early days. Steve Spagnuolo, he's a giant. I'm so glad to see him. He's got 3 rings with the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
So that's and he actually should have gotten the head coaching job after Coughlin. They didn't give it to him, and then he had to go into a bad situation, unfortunately.
I think the Patriots, Gerard Mayo going on there and saying that we have a soft team.
He's right though, but you
He's
can't say
right,
that.
but you don't say that.
He's not. He wasn't, and it shows he wasn't ready to be a head coach. And I think they should have.
I think. Oh no, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say before I say it, because I think I know what you're gonna say.
He needed a little more time. I think what you could have done is brought in an older veteran coach for a few years and groom Mayo to be that successor. You can't throw him in there with you can't expect him to clean up a mess that one of the greatest coaches of all time couldn't clean up. You're expecting this guy with no experience to do that.
I think we should have picked Vrabel.
I think you should have picked Vrabel too.
He's a Patriot. He knows the Patriot way. He played under Belichick. He won rings under Belichick. He knows the Kraft family. He's a decent coach. You take him. His time with Tennessee, I think he did pretty good for the Tennessee Titans. I think you put him in the Patriots organization with that money, I think he would have done pretty good. And I think a lot of Patriots fans were saying, like, why didn't we go after fucking Vrabel? But I think Kraft already had it in his mind, like, I want Mayo. I want Mayo.
I want Mayo.
I think that was a mistake. You should have went with Vrabel.
You should have went with him. But not to say that Mayo can't grow. Like, I always say sometimes the coach the second time around does a better job than the first time around. So it's hard to bring, But again, you're giving him the keys to a team that was a flagship team for 2 decades. I just think there was
that's a big job.
That's a big job, and the expectations. 6 Super Bowls. You have expectations that, again, this is not Pop Warner football. This is the NFL, and he's right. But you can't go say that. And I think that's what Belichick was kind of. You don't say that stuff. There's certain things you keep it in the locker room.
Like even Belichick on their worst days, like he would say, like, we got to work on our defense. Our defense, they weren't really solid today, and offensively, we didn't really make the plays we wanted to make. But
at least Belichick never said I have to go look at the tape.
Yeah,
that's the most.
But he kept it. He kept it mum. When he walked in that locker room with no cameras, he was like, "What the fuck are we doing today? 3 interceptions, defense. Come on, what are you doing? Letting the ball through on every down. What is he said it, but he didn't say that in front of the cameras. That's why Belichick was the way he was. Everyone used to laugh like, "Oh, he's so like," but he had his wall up. You don't do that. You don't go in front of the cameras and you talk shit about the team. You want to be hard on the team in the locker room. That's one thing, but you don't go in front of the world and be like, "My guys, they're just too soft."
No, Coughlin never did that. Okay, maybe a couple times he did it, but almost with Coughlin. But you hear, and then the guys would complain about Coughlin after he left. He was too hard on us. But now these same guys saying, "Yeah, we need Coughlin back."
When Mayo said the thing about being soft, you know what my mind went to? Playoffs? Are you kidding me? Playoffs? I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like that's gonna be like the.
Part of me thinks Belichick may not go back. Part of me thinks Belichick I think he will go back, but part of me says he seems to be doing a good job with the TV stuff and everything, and he's good at it, and better than I thought he was going to be at it. It's kind of showed a different side of him.
He's in his 70s now, right? How old is he?
He's in his 70s. Jimmy Johnson, when he left the Cowboys, did TV, and everyone thought it was a stepping stone, and it was, right? He took the Miami job and hated being back in coaching, and he couldn't wait to go back to and then for the last 20 years, he's been back on fire.
However, Belichick is this close to Shula.
That's the issue. You're right. That's a big issue.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think he wants that.
He's this close. Why not go for it?
Yeah.
If he was like 50 games, 80 games away, all right.
Yeah.
But he's like what, under 20 games? It's like what, 13 wins?
Yeah, I don't think he wants a rebuilding project. I think he wants to go into something where he can win fast too.
Yeah, he wants to go in 1 year. He goes.
That's
all
why
the way.
That's why I was never convinced he was going to the Falcons either. I think it was kind of a lukewarm affair. It was kind of like they flirted with each other, but I don't think either side wanted it. And I think Belichick. And now look, there's some of the jobs that are going to open this year. He's going to have a pick of much better coaching situation.
And I'll tell you what, too. So Vrabel is an assistant consultant with the Browns.
Watch that.
First of all, we already know what that job is. I need somewhere to go until the season's over because I'm not doing this. That's like I got to stay busy because I need like a hobby because I lost my job. And then when this season's over, he will be a head coach again. I guarantee it. Vrabel will be I hope they get rid of Mayo and just correct the path and bring him back to New England.
Yeah.
And then if he don't do well, fine, I was wrong. But I'd like to see that. Belichick, I think you're right. I think there's going to be some openings, and I think that
But I think you're
he
right
has
about
more
the
time,
record.
and he
The
talked
record's
to
a good
people.
point. Yeah, I think the record thing will intrigue him a lot. That's a good point.
Do you think
Uh,
everyone keeps saying this? Do you think he'll go to the Cowboys if they get rid of McCarthy?
Yes,
You think he'll take the job in Dallas?
that's not a bad situation to go into. That's a look. I like McCarthy, by the way. But your record speaks for itself. And again, the expectations with the Dallas Cowboys are not 8-9. I mean, that's the difference. So if McCarthy goes 8-9, Jerry Jones has every right to replace him. I think he would take the Cowboys job.
Do you think Jones wants Belichick?
Yes.
Do you
And I
think
think he'll
Jones
get-
gives? Now remember, Jones has an ego. Do you think Jones gives Belichick the control he had in New England?
He did it with Parcells. So he did it with Parcells. You got to remember. So I think it won't be total. It won't be new. It won't be the same amount of control. But look, Belichick's not going to the Giants because he'll get no control. The Giants don't give that type of control to their head coach.
And
So he's not going to
he'll
the
never go to the Jets. Everyone's like, "Are you going to the Jets?" He's not going to the Jets. He's not going to the Jets. He'll never go there.
Everything I've read, and I could be wrong on this, is that Stephen Jones now is much more involved with the day-to-day operations than Jerry. Not to say Jerry's not involved, but so I think if the money's right, Belichick will go to the Cowboys. That's not a bad situation to go into. That's a situation where you can win with that team.
And they've gone close, and they
need to fix
the playoffs. But
yeah,
can Belichick
Yeah.
take that team and push them all the way?
look, and he'll fix the defense is broken this year. There's no question about it. Not that Dan Quinn was
And
great.
he's a strong defensive coach too.
Strong defensive coach, so he'll work with a really good OC. I think he would take that job. And why wouldn't Jerry call the guy with 6 rings
And
to come
now
in there?
you have this other mist floating around now because of Tom Brady. What did Tom Brady do last week?
He became the Raiders owner.
Now, does Tom Brady bring Belichick to Las Vegas? I don't
That's
know
a
about
possibility. I love Antonio Pierce. He's my favorite coach in the league right now because he's obviously. I'd love to see him get a shot to really, when they didn't give him a quarterback this year, and it's not an excuse.
There's no quarterback there. He has to probably bring in someone.
But I expected a little more out of Antonio Pierce so far.
I feel like if Belichick is going to take the job, I think you're right. I think Cowboys, they have Dak Prescott. He's been good enough to get to the playoffs. Now, has he performed in the playoffs? No. But can he get there? Yeah. So they have their quarterback, I think, for now. Can Bill Belichick come in and polish up Prescott, make him a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl, fix it? I think you're right. I think there's more there for him to work with versus he's not going to go to Vegas and look for a quarterback and develop him. No.
It's a
He's
bigger
not-
rebuilding
he-
job. Yeah,
yeah, he don't
it's a
want
bigger
that.
rebuilding job. Yeah,
he don't want
this
that.
is there's a couple of other situations. Like Philly would be the other situation. He'll get less control in Philly than Dallas. Howie Roseman runs the show in Philadelphia, so he'll get less control in Philadelphia. He's not going to the Jets. That's a fractured. If you heard the Manning broadcast comments too, he is not going to the Jets. So that you can write that one off.
If you're a real football fan, you'll know he's never going to the Jets.
He's not going. He's not going to the. He's not going. I don't think the Bengals getting rid of their coach. He's not
No.
going there.
He's not going there.
So the Cowboys. It's really the Cowboys, Eagles, Raiders are probably the 3. And I want Pierce. Pierce has let me down this year. I expect they were playing tough last year for him. They seem to lost some of that toughness this year. So he hasn't done the job I thought he was going to do this year, Antonio Pierce. But I like him a lot because he's of his pedigree with the Giants.
Right.
Yeah. Hard going into a coaching job like that with no experience, and he had no experience.
And that was not the team for him to start out with.
It's easy to replace a mess like Josh McDaniels was. That was an easy thing to kind of a mess. That was an easy thing to kind of go in there. But now when you're now it's your season. McDaniels is gone. It's now you got to get the job done.
Well, there's always Green Bay.
Well, they brought in Saleh. They brought Saleh in.
Yeah, what's that all about?
They're very tight. So Saleh and they being LaFleur and Saleh are like really tight. I think one was the best man at the other's wedding. That's not.
Okay.
That was. I always thought that Saleh was going to go to Green Bay as the DC, and that's probably what's going to happen next year. I assume when LaFleur gets bounced from the playoffs again. So
there it is. Hey, by the way, you know what that reminds me? So you didn't see the comeback on Netflix yet. You should
No,
watch
I'm
it.
gonna
It's
watch.
great.
I'm gonna watch it after the World Series. Yeah.
The other thing, you know who looked awesome in the comeback? I mean, had a
Who?
no, it wasn't the star of the documentary, but I mean, he had a couple of good shots in there. It was he was awesome when we had him. Gabe Kapler, he was great. He was great in that documentary.
Well, he he didn't do anything in that. He didn't do anything.
He was a
on
utility
that team.
player. He didn't do shit.
He didn't do shit. I mean,
he didn't do anything.
hey, look, I said it to Willie Morante. Look at the job Gabe Kapler did with the Marlins this year. That's all you need to know. That team went from a playoff team to the worst team in baseball. That's all you need to know about Gabe Kapler. And
you just love this because you keep getting reasons to shit on the guy. I think at this point you don't even think you care. I think you just love having him. Gabe Kapler.
So they're looking for a manager, and they're looking at a female manager, the woman Alyssa, who's with the Giants. And he's a big, and I would love to see a woman manager. I think it'd be a great, but she's not ready. I mean, you can't put her into that situation. They had the first female GM, and I think they could try to go with the first manager. She's just not ready yet. You got to give her a bench coach job, or go down have her manage AAA or something like that for a little while. She's just not ready yet. But I'd love to see that happen.
It's an interesting topic you bring up, and I know that if I don't do this the right way, everyone's going to get pissy. The woman manager thing. I'm not saying that a woman couldn't be successful, but
No,
when you think about 25 guys in the clubhouse, do you get 25 guys in the clubhouse with fucking egos, make a lot of money? Do you get them to listen to a woman in charge? You know what I mean? Like it's just, and I'm not saying that she can't, but it's like
it's hard.
You know what I'm saying
harder.
though? Like these guys, like it's not even. This isn't even about me and my opinions. I'm thinking about like we've talked about this before, and I've seen it myself firsthand over the years. There is something that people who really get into baseball talk about, and that's clubhouse control. And when a manager does not have control of the clubhouse, that's when those teams collapse. You could have a team like the Yankees, or you got, what'd they spend this year? $350 million? You got $350 million in that clubhouse. Like guys with egos, big dudes, musclehead guys. Do you think that like some ladies gonna come in and yell at them? You think they're gonna take her seriously? I mean, that's just my concern. Like that they don't take them seriously.
Well,
because you know how these guys are. They're all. I mean, half these athletes are all arrogant. You know what I mean? That's my point. Like they're all like, "Fuck you." Like,
well,
I made $27 million this year.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Kim Ng, who's the GM of the Marlins, I think did a tremendous job with that team. She came up through the Yankees organization, by the way, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she had the respect of the clubhouse.
That's what you want.
And
yeah.
But she had 20-something years experience in the front office, right?
Yeah.
I think it's harder when you have someone who doesn't have enough field experience and put them in that role, especially when you got veterans who played longer than maybe she's even been managing, right? And being a woman, it makes it tough. I want to see a woman lead a team to a championship. I think it would be one of the greatest things that would happen in sports. But I don't think that's why a lot of people that are looking at, I forget her name, the woman in the NBA, Becky Hammond.
And Kevin O'Connor just said Jessica Campbell, the first female coach on the bench for the Seattle Kraken, doing okay. That's right. I can see something for her.
Yeah. She, but again, she needs a lot more time. I mean, she needs to pay the dues. You need to manage. I think you need to be a number 2 person and managing the minors and don't fast track. I think the worst thing they try to do is fast track a woman. And that's why Becky Hammond, I think, will get an NBA job at some point.
Yeah,
I think she will, because she's paying her dues right now.
I agree.
Oh,
what happened?
Did Judge just strike out?
I don't know. My MLB feed, like I lost it.
Yeah, Judge just struck out again. By the way, Mr. July. Yeah, it's a little choppy here. That's why I'm.
Aaron Judge strikes out swinging 3 outs.
God,
mid-6.
But Ohtani's done nothing in this series either. So let's be fair.
That's what I'm saying.
Ohtani's done absolutely nothing. And the story you have Freeman and Edmund. Those guys have been coming through.
Everyone's talking about the two home run champions, the two guys with over 50 home runs, blah blah blah. And what have they done?
Look,
not one home run. Nothing.
No, until Ohtani should be held to the same standard as Judge.
He's getting a lot more money too.
And he's got a lot more money, right?
A lot more money.
Yep. So it's not, if you're gonna pick on Judge, you got to pick on Ohtani equally in this.
Dude, you got to pick on Ohtani either way. He's getting $700 million. I mean,
but he'll say he's deferring. Judge is getting his money now, right?
It doesn't matter when they're getting. He's still getting it. He's still getting almost $750 million.
I think the layoff. I think the layoff hurt the Yankees. Unfortunately, I really do. I think the layoffs. I hate these layoffs, and there's no choice. You have to wait for the other team to finish in this case. So, but yeah, the bats are cold.
Yeah, you lose the momentum.
Yep.
Yeah, you lose the momentum. I agree. I think that's real. I think playing in the Bronx is still going to be rough for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But
you watch, they got to pull Yamato though at the 90 pitch mark. You watch.
How many
Dave
pitches he
Roberts.
got?
He's like I think at 80 in the low 80s right now. You watch. It's like 90. He'll be out, and he's pitching great. He's pitching great too. And I was down on Yamato. I didn't think he was going to be a good signing, and he's proven me wrong.
Is there no pitch count?
80. He's at 80. He's exactly
at
80. He's at 80 pitches right now, and 49 strikes. So yeah, 4 strikeouts, but he only got 4 strikeouts. So you watch. Dave Roberts is going to go mess this game up with the bullpen. This game's not. It's not over for the Yankees yet. Still, they.
Oh no, it's not. I agree.
No, I agree. I still have a shot.
But if Judge is going to have
a couple guys on base, you get a couple guys on base. This game could be tied. Yeah.
If you talk about Judge having that big Yankee moment in the playoffs, this is.
You have to have a.
This is the time.
That's
It's like fucking Judge Smales. Well, we're waiting. That's what everyone's looking at Judge and Ohtani. We're waiting.
You know those Yankee teams in the late '90s. All those key guys had their big moments in the playoffs. So that was why those teams. Even though they cheated, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Soto's. But give it to Soto, man. He's doing everything possible here. This guy's a great player.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's earning it right now.
They have that's the only hit they have tonight.
I think it is. Yeah, the Yankees only got one hit.
This is Philly's bad they're playing right now. This is a World Series you're in. No wonder Allen came over here.
Yeah, he has nothing to watch.
It's frustrating. I stopped watching that game 5. I mean, it was horrible, that Mets series.
Kike Hernandez just keeps lining out to Aaron Judge.
Yep.
So it's bottom of the 6th? Yeah, there's still a lot of baseball left.
Yeah, but there's a lot of baseball. They got to get some hits, and the bullpen's got to come through.
Yeah,
got to get hits right now.
Well, anyway, I think that's going to be our show for this week.
Yeah, a lot of sports.
It's a World Series. We have to.
Yeah.
Every time we've ever done a show during a championship, we've always really covered it. So.
Yeah, I think we did one during. Yeah. So I wish I was here this year in the World Series, but wasn't meant to be.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's gonna be our show for this week, guys. So thanks for hanging in here with us and smoking along. So. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and visit smokingtobacco.com for more news, reviews, and updates from the cigar industry. But not